Welcome, everybody, to another live recording of the Business Travel 360 Linking the Travel Industry podcast, where we discuss travel industry news you are talking about on LinkedIn. My name is Rian, and I'm one of your hosts today. I'm a co-founder at Agentivity, where we do some very clever things with data flowing through a TMC. So if that sounds of interest, or you just want to talk to somebody with some experience in travel data, please get in touch. As usual, I'm joined by Ash and Anne to help me discuss our list of stories. Over to you, Anne.
Welcome, everyone. I'm Anne, an independent consultant with LeapShift, and happy to help you with anything you have related to distribution, such as NDC, one order management, and retailing. Over to you, Ash.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ash. I'm the host of a weekly business travel podcast called What's Up in Business Travel, where we give you only the important updates in under 15 minutes. Additionally, I'm the Vice President of Client Success at Traxo, and this is Linking the Travel Industry.
So for those new to the event, thank you for joining us. The format of our discussion here literally is to go through some of the travel industry news events from last week that appeared on LinkedIn, discuss them a bit more in detail here. First story of the week last week, which stood out for me, was the news that Ryanair placed quite a substantial order with Boeing for a total of 103 new aircraft in a deal worth approximately $36.2 billion. Good news for Boeing. Ash, what did you make of this?
What I did know is that the president of South Korea showed up at the White House last week, and within a couple of days, Korean is buying Boeing planes. So to me, those two things are totally connected to each other. He came in with a checkbook, he wrote checks, and he left. Works for Boeing, works for the U.S.
Did it do anything to the Boeing share price, Ash? Did you check?
The share price did increase by 2.2%.
Next story that stood out, interesting news about the Open Travel Alliance joining Overture Maps Foundation. Just a bit of a disclaimer, I do have an interest in the Open Travel Alliance. I've been joining them and following them with great interest and helping them out with a bit of publications, but this is substantial news. I see Martijn posted about this, that many of us won't necessarily immediately understand this impact, but they're doing great things. They've recently joined the Linux Foundation to get access to exactly this type of potential partnerships. And one of them is with Overture Maps, which now gives them access to much better location data, open source location data that's not necessarily sponsored by the likes of Google or others. And it's a substantial move for them. And they've got a few more things up their sleeve. Interesting one to watch. Any comments there, Anne?
Yes, same as you. I follow them with great interest. You know that I'm a firm believer that we need to do something about standards, open source. We need partners like Open Travel and Linux Foundation. And of course, this is a fantastic step.
This is a bit of a disappointment to me. I normally bring you good news with regards to progress in aviation out of Africa, but this to me is a step back in the wrong direction. There's news that Tanzania will apply a $45 each way, so $90 on a return ticket into and out of Tanzania as of November this year. They're calling it a passenger facilitation charge. It will be added automatically to your ticket, and it's just heavily criticized. I have to say it's not really what we would see as progress. What are your thoughts?
I know that the amount can be quite large. I mean, we're talking about $45 one way. But the way I read it, Rian, is that purpose of this tax is to fund things like border control and security and streamlining immigration. So all of these things are traveler touch points that I think is the right way to do something like this. If you're going to do a tax increase, make it so that the people can experience the benefit of the taxes that they're paying. And in this example of how they've outlined what it is that they're going to be using the money for, it's obviously clear that this is going to totally change and improve the travelers' lives. Of course, assuming that the money is going to go do exactly what they say. So if they do that, then that's great.
Indeed. That is our worry, right? That it goes to where it says it will go.
But doesn't it always go to where people say it's going to go?
Of course. Why should we be skeptical? So the news about Mexico City restoring flight slots to U.S. carriers. This is a reversal of a policy they applied in 2022 where they favored Mexican carriers. This is an interesting story that caught my attention. I don't know enough about the history here, but that's why I'm going to turn to Ash to ask him what's the significance of this change.
I don't know if you remember, we had talked about the story in multiple ways. First, we talked about it with Mexico, U.S. We also talked about it with Canada, U.S. So we've had this discussion before. A few significant things around here. One is that the Department of Transportation administration is going after the Delta relationship with Aeromexico. So there's an antitrust that was built back in 2015 or so. And now the DOT is saying, well, that's not good, cancel that relationship. And I think that this canceling of this relationship has a lot to do with Mexico and the U.S. talking at a very, very high level to open up the skies. Mexico needs it, of course. The U.S. airlines are very eager to get into that market. And this will improve the fares and the pricing and make it very competitive for U.S. airlines to fly into the Mexico market.
So I just want to take 2 minutes and turn to the audience to say again, thank you for joining us. It's great to hear where you're listening from. So why don't you comment and tell us where you are listening from? We'll get your name on screen and you'll also get a few comments. Thank you for joining us and giving us your time on a Monday. And again, comment about where you're listening from and we will get your name on screen and maybe you'll get a few connection requests. Getting back to the list of stories, interesting one here. Ryanair is going to increase the rewards they pay staff for catching passengers with oversized cabin bags. Very, very vigilant with this. I was getting, intrigued by this, but did you guys actually read what is the reward that they pay each staff member? Did you get the number, Anne? Did you see it?
I did indeed. I got the number, and it's 150 euros per bag.
Yeah,
and,
just to be, it's not 150, it's €1.50.
€1.50, and a maximum, or was it 80 euros a month?
80 euros a month, yes.
80 euros, 80 a month. Me personally, I think that this article or this is just really a hoax. I think it's just attention driving. It is Michael O'Leary again saying something controversial. Well, I haven't experienced with Ryanair, but I've experienced it with Jetstar in Australia when they run around and check your bag. I never forget taking out a book and said, well, this is a personal item. So now I'm actually at whatever, 8 kilos or whatever it was. I do think that this is just attention seeking.
Yeah, maybe. What do you think, Ash?
Spirit Airlines had done this in the U.S. market, and it was a total disaster. The employees of the airline were harassing travelers. Remember that they're just looking at their eyes, right? They're not popping it into this machine. And by the way, this stupid thing that they make people put their bags into is ridiculous to begin with. This is where AI can really help, I think. Scan the bag, see if it fits the dimensions. So this will degrade the travel experience, even for those who are following the rules, because the airline staff will get overzealous in their approach, right? So that's one thing. The other thing is that according to the Post, it says that it's 1 in 1,000 passengers. So aren't you applying a hammer to something that's very small in number? I mean, you've already accomplished 999 passengers out of 1,000. You're almost there. And then at the end, you blow it by putting this stupid rule in place. So this is a big mistake.
Yeah, this is funny to hear from a guy who's never flown Ryanair in his life and never will. So let's start there. Degrading the experience of flying Ryanair, it's difficult to achieve that. You're already at no point, right? So let's just start there again. Guys, I love this policy for the big reason that on any other airline you fly, there's always too many cabin bags and people just abuse the system. Whereas if you fly on a Ryanair flight, it's great. The cabin bags is not a problem whatsoever. And yes, I think initially when they rolled this out, there were some overzealous staff who were arresting passengers, but they addressed that issue, Ash. And now it's pretty much you have to walk past that box and the staff won't come up to everybody. They'll go up and say, try the bag there. And pretty much people are afraid that they will be asked to do so because they'll be sort of embarrassed in front of the entire queues. And it solved the problem. End of.
I don't know. We're going to be talking about this in 3 months and there'll be a lot of horror stories coming out.
No, but it's not new, Ash. It's not new. They've always been doing this. All that's happened here is they've increased the reward they pay staff a little bit. And that's it. That's the story.
Okay, fine. So then why are they trying to solve something that's 1 in 1,000? It seems to be ridiculous in my opinion.
Yeah, the problem is if they don't do it, it will look like many of the other airlines you fly on, and it's a real hassle.
Mark my word, when the airports are fully automated without human intervention, there will be a push from the airlines to charge less for checked-in bags versus bags that you bring in. That's the new model. You pay $40 to check a bag and $45 to take it on the plane. You watch the ship.
Sticking with Ryanair, he's also not expanding his presence in Belgium following a 150% increase in Belgian aviation tax. They're not saying they are decreasing, but they had plans to expand there, and they basically said, no, they're not going to do that as a result. But that's just fair game, right? And I mean,
150% increase is just enormous, right? We see this trend in the Netherlands and Belgium. I mean, we see a clear trend. I really don't, know what the ultimate goal is, but I fully understand Ryanair. It's like it's also cutting routes to Spain after there was a massive taxation increase.
News out of New Zealand is that Air New Zealand reported a 14% drop in profits. This is, to me, totally unexpected. I don't know about you, Anne. Was this as per expectation?
Well, it's the engine problems. It's well explained how they have planes that don't fly. And of course, it is a very exposed market in many ways. I mean, it's small, it's tiny. We haven't heard much about them. I'm not really that surprised. This is what we've been talking about, engine problems, spare part problems, aircraft problems in general, right?
But they don't name the engine supplier in the article.
But the operating revenue, I mean, they're doing well from that perspective. It's just a matter of additional cost. I think they're okay.
Yeah, they're definitely okay. I don't know what the operating profit margin is by percentage, but we sort of know that that's kind of low for airlines anyway.
And then the most engaged story of the week last week was posted by Richard Volter. He's the founder at Muse. They provide property management systems to hotels, now have the ability to allow the guests to use either Apple Wallet or Google Pay. And is this such phenomenal news, or did I just miss something here?
I think it's the sort of lack of progress in general, right? In travel, that
the bar is low.
The bar is very low. It is unbelievably low. But of course, it's fantastic. Personally, of course, I would love it.
Those were the stories on my list. I know we have some extra stories. And should we start with you?
I saw Dennis Schorl,
yes,
from Skift. This caught my attention because I find it very, very interesting that there was, he was talking about how the Airbnb CEO has said that services is a bigger business than experiences. And to me, that is super interesting.
And so this is Brian Chesky, the CEO of Airbnb. And just as an explanation, when services, he means things like photography, private chefs, facial treatments, hairstyling. Not many of those are on my list, I have to say.
But he was mentioning massages and stuff. It's incredible. It's very interesting because I think we tend to say that experiences go hand in hand with Airbnb, right? And that should be their focus. But it's very interesting that people would be willing to book services. You and I constantly talk about how TMCs need to book services, how travel sellers need to book services, and the profit margins of those.
Totally and blissfully unaware of these services. So you staying at an Airbnb somewhere, you can now ask for like a private chef to come and cook in the place, right?
But I mean, they've got the ecosystem, haven't they? And I can see why they are interested.
Asher's about to chip in and tell us about his private chef experience with Airbnb. Come on.
I would like to see these experiences being sold outside of Airbnb properties.
They are sold outside. It's really about Airbnb have understood that services is much more lucrative than experiences.
The penny has dropped for me as well, Anne. So you're saying I can use Airbnb to book a facial, but I don't have to stay at the Airbnb property. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think that the services is definitely, absolutely. That's the way I understand it. Yeah.
Okay. And Ash, over to you.
Space News.
We released our monthly news summary of everything space news related. First thing is that, I'm not sure if you saw this, Anne and Rian, Elon Musk and SpaceX have successfully completed their Starship mission. This was the 10th attempt at it, and everything went according to plan. They now have the blueprint for success with Starship, and keep in mind that the reason why the Starship program is so significant is because it's going to help us take man back to the moon and travel beyond to Mars. And if you haven't seen the video, you got to go online to see the video because it looks like you're watching a sci-fi movie. It's truly remarkable, and kudos to the entire team. I mean, after 10 tries, they finally got it down.
Well, before you go on, yes, I truly appreciate that. Like I said to you before the call, when you watch that video, it does look like fiction or, it's made up, but it's just unbelievable to watch.
Sometimes we talk about these stories and they seem to be so out there. Another story, part of Space News, is that Alaska Airlines is rolling out Starlink to their entire fleet in 2026. So this is a big announcement. And by the way, with the new Atmos Rewards program, which they launched last week, if you are a member of the Atmos Rewards program, Wi-Fi is free. That's a great partnership right there. And you might have missed this, but one of the Martian rocks that landed here on Earth sold at an auction for $5 million. So if you have $5 million, you could have bought a piece of Mars. So that was pretty good. And if you haven't been keeping track of this, SpaceX hit their 100th launch in 2025. In comparison, they did 100 in October last year. So they're far ahead of their goal of hitting 150 by the end of the year. And finally, I just want to mention that I don't know if you remember, but remember Boeing's Starliner that went to space with the two astronauts that got stuck? Well, one of them decided he's going to retire. So after that entire experience, he has decided, Butch Wilmore is his name, one of the astronauts that finally got back on a SpaceX ride back home, but he has officially announced his retirement. I mean, if I was him, I would also have announced my retirement. I think he's very relieved, and his family probably said, dude, you're done.
Back to that piece of rock from Mars. What assurances do you have that it actually came from Mars? Give you any piece of rock, right?
I mean, the scientists have explored it and said it did come. The reason why the rock ended up on Earth is because there was a big asteroid impact on Mars that launched a piece of it and it came towards Earth.
So I do think that is a wrap for this week. It brings our show today to an end. So thank you again for all those who commented. We love that. For those giving us your time and just listening in as well, we appreciate that. Thank you so much. Over to you, Anne.
Thanks, everyone. We are so super impressed with all your comments. Thanks, everyone. Over to you, Ash.
So thank you all for joining today's live recording of Linking the Travel Industry. We record this podcast live every week on Monday, and we ask that you share this event with those that you know. Chances are high that if you enjoyed today's session, those that you know will as well. If you miss a show because of time zone or availability, you can check out the podcast on businesstravel360.com. This is Linking the Travel Industry, signing off.